Thank you for joining for session 3 in the Sunbrush TrackFlex information course. Today we'll be running through cleaning different soiling types and some adjustments that can be made and a very simple overview of what we can expect when cleaning different soilings. This guidance is of course not guaranteed, as lots of sites can have different environments even if they're very close. A perfect example of that is here in Vegas, 5 miles south of us, just down in the Mojave Desert. We have sites that dry cleaning works fairly well. Don't need the water, the bristle does a great job on its own. North of town, however, only maybe 20 miles away, wet cleaning is essential. There's a higher clay content in the soil, and whilst it's technically still the Mojave Desert, one site dry cleaning, the other site very much wet cleaning. And that just shows we can take what we learned today kind of broadly, but nothing beats site experience and actually seeing what you need to do on a site-by-site basis. So here's the soiling types we're going to look at. Desert, sand and dust. This is your very dry regions with low humidity. Agricultural dirt and dust, normally in kind of more humid regions, and there's a heavier soiling from all the agriculture in the fields around. Next up, bird droppings, then pollen and tree sap, snow, lichen, and cement dust. Now these last two we'll normally have to do in conjunction with Chematech, and we'll have to speak on a case-by-case basis. But hopefully a broad overview will be useful. Firstly then, the desert, sand and dust. Now, this has arguably got the most options of how you can clean it. We've got 3 options: dry cleaning, wet cleaning, and what we call hybrid cleaning. But we'll start off looking at dry. Now, dry cleaning, of course, with no water, very rarely gets a perfect clean, but we can bash off the majority of that dust. It's cost efficient, there's no water, it can therefore actually be slightly quicker. You haven't got your water refill times, and you're not quite so, you're not necessarily expected to get a perfect clean every time. This is ideal, of course, on sites with rapid soiling rates, and you're not cleaning twice a year, you're maybe cleaning twice a month. And I've actually got a video here and a photo here of this machine in the desert in the Middle East. And you see a huge amount of dust coming off. But if you look behind, we haven't got it perfect. But of course, on this site, they're cleaning every 7 days, and therefore the client will weigh up, is it worth spending the extra money for a super thorough wet clean, or is a cheaper, quicker dry clean that gets the vast majority off, is that enough? And of course, on lots of cases like this site, the cheaper, more regular cleaning option works great. There are, of course, those sites where the soiling rates are maybe lower and a wet cleaning is more suitable for a deeper clean and try and get that kind of almost 100% lost production back, maybe once or twice a year. This is more expensive, but the great thing with this is it ensures the removal of those hot spots to kind of keep the panels working for longer. Of course, when you've got bird mess or maybe a stickier soiling on the module that the dry cleaning wouldn't remove, you end up getting hot spots that can end up damaging the panel over the long term. And because of that, we come to our third option, which is what we call the hybrid model. Now, this is where you maybe are cleaning very frequently, but also have a problem with bird mess or other sticky soiling, and you'll do the majority of cleanings dry with the occasional thrown in wet cleaning. So maybe every 4th clean you'll do wet, just to kind of do a thorough clean to get everything off. And then this ensures the removal of hot spots, but yet can keep the cost down. And this would again be maybe South America, the Middle East, some parts of America maybe, but it's in those more deserty regions still with a fast soiling rate. And this is a perfect example of that. We're in the desert here, actually in California, and dry clean could be used frequently, but you see there are some bird mess spots that a dry clean just wouldn't get rid of. And that's where the hybrid model can work great, is you're, maybe even on a two every other week basis or bi-monthly basis, come dry with the occasional wet clean to get it thoroughly off. Now the next option is your agricultural dirt and dust. This is your agricultural regions, there's more humidity, it's quite a stickier soiling that get stuck onto the panel, and we just do require that water flow to get that heavy soiling off that module. We occasionally see more of a hybrid model working, where when the customer goes to site to clean, they will do one quick pass dry, followed up with an instant wet clean. This just blasts off the majority on that first pass, and then does a thorough clean on the second one. Here's a site though where they would do cleaning in one pass. This is down in Calexico, Southern California. You see that soiling band along the bottom of the module. Getting that water flow there is essential to get it off. And they're seeing brilliant clean results in those kind of conditions. Again, more wet cleaning for removing bird droppings. Bird droppings are a fairly oily substance, hard to remove, and that's why the Sunbrush bristle, with its agitative ends that can actually get in under the soiling, is so vital. Maybe a foam brush, a slightly softer bristle, would maybe struggle to get some of the bird mess, but we're here with our bristle type that we've got. We really do get under it, and it can cut through that oily substance and get that bird mess off. In really difficult soiling sites, we can sometimes use the SWP from Chematech in a low dilution, which will just help you even more get that bird mess removed. And it's exactly the same for pollen and tree sap. Sometimes even just water struggles, and we can again use the Sunbrush SWP, but it's amazing how well that Sunbrush bristle is able to get through that pollen and get to the panel. And this photo is brilliant. Just shows that line where the Sunbrush stopped for the photo, and yeah, did a great job. Also a video here cleaning tree sap that had been on the panel for 7 or 8 years, and again, Sunbrush doing remarkably well. This is actually down in Florida, very humid conditions, the very sticky soiling on a wet site, and this customer, I believe, is actually in the Solar Cleaners Network, so I'm sure you'll recognize this video. But here we have the Sunbrush cleaning some first solar modules that had been plagued by tree sap, and had done a very, very good job. The next soiling type, which is always interesting for people, is snow removal. Same bristle that we use for the normal cleaning can do the snow. However, we have to replace that brush motor from a low torque, high RPM motor to a slightly lower RPM but a higher torque motor. It's got the same interchange, and your same brush could have a heavy duty brush motor and a standard motor that are interchangeable. The challenge we have with snow is when it's left for a long time, you can get kind of ice layers when it melts and refreezes. This makes it much harder to clean, and therefore we recommend trying to get there quickly, as we can actually see in this video. This is from Kazakhstan, and they have machines on site, immediately deploy, and they're able to kind of blast that snow off before it's kind of melted, refroze, and gets challenging. Of course, there's lots of variance in snow depth, and we can normally see somewhere around 10 to 15 centimeters as an achievable cleaning. But of course, if you've got somewhere from 30 centimeters and upwards, we can't necessarily expect the Sunbrush to get that in one pass. But very few machines can do what this can do on the modules, and we see some great results. Now then, here we come to the Chematech kind of situation, but with lichen. When you do wet cleaning, kind of alongside the Chematech LRA, the lichen removal agent, you'd likely go along with the lichen removal agent before the Sunbrush. You apply the lichen removal agent to the panel, let it wait a bit of time, and then come back over with the Sunbrush. And then Sunbrush you will brush and rinse with clean water. However, of course, as we always say, prevention is key. We would recommend cleaning on a regular basis before you let the lichen set in, so that you can keep that panel clear, and it's then far cheaper on the long run if you keep that preventative maintenance. And of course, we normally see this in Europe, and if sites are left year on year, lichen build-up is dreadful. But if you stay on top of it and do an annual cleaning, we are able to keep the lichen at bay pretty well. The most extreme of soilings that we see all across the globe now is actually cement dust. They're often powering these cement plants with solar power, but of course, because it's close to a cement plant, the soiling rates are rapid, and the cement really gets baked on there to the panel and is very, very difficult to remove. And that's where the Chematech CRA comes in really, really well. And you would apply the CRA before the Sunbrush, or actually with a Sunbrush spray unit. We can remove the brush from the Sunbrush and then just apply the Chematech CRA with essentially a spray boom, and and then brush and rinse again with the Sunbrush afterwards. We occasionally need repeated cleanings to get that CRA off, just depending on the severity. And then a brilliant option as well for these sites, that using the Sunbrush we can apply the anti-static solar armor, another one of Chemetech's products, that will just create an anti-static protection on the module and ideally keep that soiling rate slightly lower. And here we can actually see a photo of a corner of a panel cleaned with CRA. This wasn't done with the Sunbrush, but it just shows that stark difference before and after when we use the CRA. Well, I hope this has been useful, just a broad overview of cleaning different soilings, seeing the Sunbrush work in those different conditions. And of course, here at the Sunbrush team, we're here to help with any questions, any consulting that you may need for cleaning your specific type of soiling. But hopefully this was just useful information that you can take on as you utilize the Sunbrush. I'll see you in the next episode, and have a good one. Bye-bye.